the race with Connor O'Callaghan. He's a Democrat running for Congress in Arizona, and Rina Shah, a Republican strategist and principal and founder of Relaxed Strategies. Thank you both for joining us tonight. Rina, want to start with you. Does Nikki Haley have a point here about the RNC not giving voters a chance to choose their party's candidate?
Nikki Haley's point is so solid, and she stands on really strong footing with it. But the problem is that you've got an apparatus within the RNC that doesn't want to see her fight this fight. They are so deeply ingrained in I would say, the Trump world, sort of. What I just don't know how to describe it. There is a sense that Trump world has really got these people to look at it very differently over the course of the past 8 years. And that means that you've got Republican committeemen and committeewomen. I'm talking about at the local structure, state structure, that have become so loyal to Trump that they were willing to put forward this draft resolution last week and declare him the presumptive nominee. So when she talks about there needing to be the process, more than 2 states declaring who they want to see move forward to get the nomination, she's right on. And she presents a really strong option for Republicans this fall. And she's got the backing, but the political wins so far have made it so that Trump is got the momentum behind him right now. And this next few weeks, about a month out, right? February 24th, South Carolina is just so dicey for her because it's her home state where she was a governor that was rather beloved. So there's a little bit of amnesia in the moment, but I would also let our audience know that a lot of this is politics within politics.
It's certainly going to be interesting to see how that contest plays out. Connor, question to you. Several polls show President Biden losing support among black voters. Let's take the state of Georgia, for example. Recent polling of voters in Georgia from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution found that Biden had the support of just 58% of black voters. He won 88% of African-American voters in Georgia in 2020. How important is it for him to reach black voters, and what should his strategy be to connect?
Well, listen, first of all, Alexa, thanks for having me on. I think it's critical for President Biden to be able to reach out to the minority communities and bring in those voters. I think the reality is he's going to do that. So if we go back and look at past administrations, when Romney was running against Obama, polls were showing doom and gloom for the incumbent president then as well. And it goes back even many administrations before that. So I think polls, they're early. At the end of the day, I think people are going to come out and vote for President Biden. We're not going to go backwards. Everybody knows what's at stake. They might not be racing out with enthusiasm to do it, but I don't think they're going to go home. I think people are going to show up to vote for President Biden. And particularly when you talk about the African American community and other minority communities, the unemployment rate for these folks is at historic lows. And the employment rate in general is at great lows. So I think we need to do a better job marketing as Democrats and really getting that message out there. This has been a good administration for President Biden.
And to Rina, to you, how can the GOP appeal to black voters who historically have seemed to vote for Democrats? Is there an opportunity here for the Republican Party to sway voters to Nikki Haley or Donald Trump?
Well, as a former operative within the party, I can tell you that this is one of the greatest challenges for political consultants right now on the D side. And that is the narrative has been set against President Biden for many months now. Forget the economy for a moment, but just looking at how Black Americans have been really shown up for this president and have almost been rejected since he came into office. He talked about a really ambitious voting rights agenda. It's not been completed. And so I really think that was the landmark and centerpiece of everything he talked about. He wanted to be that person for Black America. And it almost feels as if he hasn't shown who he really could be. It's almost kind of troublesome because you're not sure who is pulling the strings here. And I don't mean to sound like President Biden's being puppeted, but why couldn't he get such an ambitious agenda passed? And so you have a lot of Black Americans really showing a great deal of frustration, whether that means they won't politically participate. Turnout is going to be huge in this next election. And that is an entryway for Republicans to say, look, Black America, Biden has failed you. He's given you lip service. Come look at us. Give us an honest shake. There's a complication there, of course, because Trump has a really big problem with Black Americans, not really doing well with them historically. And look, anything can happen in this election. I call it the anything can happen week by week, but also day by day. And I think there is still time for President Biden to turn the ship around, correct course with Black America.
Definitely can never say never in American politics. Now, Connor, there will likely be intense political pressure in Washington and from voters for President Biden to respond to the deadly attack on U.S. service members in Jordan. How should President Biden respond? And if so, will it be enough to help boost his approval rating among likely voters?
Sure. So, obviously we need to acknowledge, the tragedy that happened in Jordan with the 3 service members lost. And I fully support the president, and all the folks in Washington in terms of whatever we think is the appropriate action to take in retaliation. I know the president has already said that we will retaliate appropriately. You obviously always want to be careful to not escalate things into World War III unnecessarily. However, Iran, Rina was talking about puppeteering. Iran has been pulling the strings in the Middle East, to our disadvantage. For many decades now. My wife was actually born in Iran, and her family fled during the Iranian Revolution in 1979 when she was 2 years old. We're 40 plus years on, the same things are happening. So we do need to retaliate against Iran, and we need to be decisive in it. These are threats against democracy, things that are happening in Ukraine, things that are happening with Israel, things that are happening in Taiwan. Israel's watching. Iran is watching, China's watching. And Russia's watching. We have to respond, and we have to protect ourselves and our service members, and we have to protect democracy everywhere.
It is so true. No matter what side of the aisle you fall on, the world's eyes are on 2024. The race for the presidency. Connor O'Callaghan, Democratic congressional candidate, and Rina Shah, Republican strategist and commentator. Thank you both for being with us to discuss.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alexa.